Ready to take your website to the next level? Well, today, Elle McCann is going to share with you 5 apps that you can use to optimize your conversion rate. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Selena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. If you're stuck in a rut, feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've achieved all of the things that you set out to and are wondering what next, or how do I even make this better? Then I know that you're going to love today's episode. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode. I'm recording this from a very different change of scenery. Yes, finally, we have managed to leave the house and we have travelled down to the beach house. It's about 3.5 hours from Sydney in the beautiful suburb of Mollymook. We're just a few streets back from the beach, but I have to tell you, just being out of the house has done so much for my mental health, but also for my inspiration and for my business growth. Because Ed loves to drive, he doesn't like sitting in the passenger seat, I got to spend a good 3.5 hours just listening to podcasts, and I've just started a new course, so I was watching some videos on this new training course that I've enrolled in, and I had my notebook, and I was just hit with so much inspiration. But not only that, I was really at the point where it made me realize, just being out of the house, out of my office, even though I was with the family, because I had the earbuds in, I felt like I was away from the family as well. But I really took this opportunity to have a really good, hard look at my business. And listening to these podcasts and listening to these new training modules made me look at my business in a whole new light. That really big 30,000 foot view, you know, when you look from above and you see all the things that are going on. And it's helped me realize some of the things that need to change in my business. So getting away has done so much for my, as I said, for my mental health, for my personal growth, but also for my business growth. And I will be talking to you about that a little bit more in the upcoming episodes. I'm super excited because we've hired some new team members. We've got a new program launching. Our Supercharged Mastermind for 7-figure retailers is just about to launch. If you are a 7-figure retailer and you haven't already checked my private videos out, make sure you head over to selenaknight.com/private, and I'll show you behind the scenes of my business. And one of the things that we are talking about in our mastermind is obviously growth, increasing sales, increasing revenue, increasing profitability. And that's what today's guest is going to help you with. Now, you know, I always talk about Shopify because I love Shopify. I've built my own e-commerce site on Shopify. And one of the reasons I like it is because there's pretty much an app for everything. But today specifically, I really wanted to hone in on ways that you can optimize your conversion rate. So getting people to the website is one part of the funnel, but making people buy, that is a very different part. You've got those two sides of the story, traffic and conversion. And quite often, retailers are really good at getting traffic, not so great on conversion. So today, Elle McCann is going to share with you her top 5 apps to help you get over that hurdle and to get more people adding to cart and buying. And just quickly, before we jump into today's episode, if you are a 7-figure retailer and you want to take a look behind the scenes of my business, selenaknight.com/private. Let's jump into today's episode. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You know that I love Shopify and kind of love more conversion rate optimization. So basically, making your customers get over the line and buy easier, quicker, faster, and to spend more money. So because I love keeping up to date with what's happening and I can't be everywhere at once, I brought on to the show today Elle McCann, who is the owner and designer of Curious Themed Web Development Studio. And not only does she help build Shopify stores, but she also creates online classes to show you how to build and grow your Shopify store. And today she's going to go through with us quite a few apps that you can use to increase your conversion rate, to keep your customers coming back again and again, and overall to make your Shopify store heaps better. So welcome to the show, Elle.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I have to ask you first, why do you love Shopify?
I have been on the Shopify platform as an expert for over 7 years now, but I've been on the platform itself for like 9 years, and they wowed me 9 years ago. And so I think I love Shopify so much because they've grown obviously so much in 9 years and have put so many new things out there. They're just really leading the forefront for e-commerce and just beating out the other platforms, in my opinion, I think.
Yeah, I think what I like the most, apart from all those other things, is if you needed to do something, there's pretty much an app that can make it do it. And because they're designed to work seamlessly inside, it's not like when you go to, and I'm not dissing other platforms, and we work with other platforms, but if you go to WooCommerce, if the developer stops updating it, or you have to keep checking in to make sure, like how many times my website broke because an app needed updating, but I didn't know about it. I can't even tell you. In fact, we just worked on somebody's website who an app broke their whole website. And when we tried to update it, it was 3 years old and they'd never told her it needed to be updated. So her whole site broke, and it was days of downtime while we tried to work out what the problem was and get it fixed for her. So this is why I love Shopify. So tell me about what it is you do. So you obviously build stores, but then you work on the conversion rate optimization as well.
Yeah, so I will build stores for clients as well as run their marketing campaigns. And I've really kind of started switching into more of an education role. So I've been putting out a lot of videos on my YouTube channel specifically about Shopify and different apps to use and functionality that people don't know exist in Shopify. And so I've really kind of been educating more, because that's kind of the biggest problem I see is people say, okay, I launched my store, now what? Or I'm not getting the sales and traffic that I expected. And the next step is really kind of more of the conversation of, okay, what are you doing on your site to generate more sales other than just sending a bunch of random people there?
So this is one of the things, let's talk about that a bit more, because this is one of the things that I see over and over again in terms of a big mistake is people can't distinguish or are unsure of the difference between sales and traffic, or traffic and conversion, as we like to put it in our business. So they don't understand that more traffic does not mean more sales. And you can get higher sales and higher average order value, so higher conversion with less traffic. So how about we just jump into that really quickly and talk about the different ways that you see people bringing traffic to their store, and why, and what happens when they get to the, why the case is that people aren't necessarily converting or aren't converting high enough.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes down to two different issues. So the first one I would say is that they're not thinking about who their ideal customer is. And so their site's not really optimized for it. They don't have their imagery, their wording to really attract their ideal customer, but also they don't know who their ideal customer is in their ads. So they're sending the wrong traffic to their store. But I would kind of piggyback on that as well and say for number two, that they really aren't optimizing for repeat sales later on. Like, I would much rather have you buy from me 5 times in a year than 1 time. And so you really have to set up the whole customer journey from the ad that they clicked on to your website, to your email follow-ups, that whole entire experience to where they're going to actually not just be your customer once, but hopefully over their lifetime.
So I think that's really important, and we do quite a lot of customer journey mapping with our mastermind clients, because exactly what you just said, quite often people spend all the energy to get somebody to the website or all the energy to get there once, but then they forget about that, we'll call it back end stuff. There's the stuff that you use to keep them coming back again and again. And I don't know about you, because you tell, I've only got the experience of working with the clients that I work with, so let's have this conversation. But when we're talking about people who are, high 6, 7-figure businesses, it's funny that I find that most of those don't actually have a dedicated e-commerce manager, even if it's a part-time person. But realistically, especially when you're at 7 figures, you should, and this is one of your key revenue generators, you really should have somebody who's in charge of that process.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A whole team probably at that point of, someone's putting the new products on the site. You've got other team members taking the images, other people working on social media and email to really kind of bring it all together so that no matter where they touch with your brand, that they're going to get the same kind of experience throughout.
And do you find that those businesses, that is one of the things that they're lacking, and that's why some of these things just fall by the wayside because nobody's mapping out the whole process?
Exactly, yeah.
I feel like maybe we need to do another podcast on that one day. Let me just file that one away. Customer journey. All right. So first up, we have to, for those people who are listening and going, I've got the website, I've got some decent traffic coming in, I get some sales, but I'm not necessarily getting the sales I would like to be getting. First off, you've already said that they need to identify the customer journey. They need to really look at that messaging. And then once we get them to start browsing the site, what can we do to make them buy? Like, how can we prompt people? Because I don't know about you, but I'm a bit of a tight ass. And when it comes to spending money, I really think about my purchases. Like, it's not very often that I will just go in and say, I'll take that. Whether it's in store or online, it generally goes into my cart, and then I wait for the abandoned cart emails, not necessarily to get a discount, but just to make me think if I actually want the thing.
Yeah.
So how can we persuade people like me, who are those cautious shoppers, especially, the fact that we're coming out of COVID, some people are a little bit hesitant to be spending. How can we get those people over the line?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue here is really, it goes back to ideal customer. One of my hugest pet peeves is going to a website and seeing the product description that reads like a spec list. It's like bullet point with all the sizes. That does nothing for me. Like, yeah, you need to know like what the size is. However, I need to be sold the product. I need to be told about the benefits, how it's going to make me feel, how it's going to improve my life. And once you know who your ideal customer is, you can add a lot more of those colorful phrases and wording into your description to really sell it more. Or you get people that are going, oh my gosh, like, how do I buy this faster? Like, why haven't I had this before in my life? Instead of someone that's like, well, now I know the sizing of it, and then they're not really sold as much.
We actually have a whole workbook on optimizing product descriptions on the Retail Academy. It's like a 40-page workbook that gives you case studies and examples and where you should be putting things, what you should be putting in, how to understand the customer journey is in there, transformations, all that kind of stuff. So I'm actually so glad that you mentioned that, because what I find, and you tell me if this is your experience as well, what I find is, especially businesses with a large number of SKUs, they just pull the manufacturer's descriptions, which I feel that's fine if you're just getting a product up on the website. But if you want people to buy, you need to be able to customize those. And I mean, look, we have a person on staff who uploads product descriptions, and they do scrape that content from the manufacturer's website, which is great because if you get it on the site, people can buy it. But if it's not converting, that's one of the things you've just flagged. Perhaps you need to go and look at the product descriptions and just see what can you tweak.
Yeah, it's honestly amazing to me that so many people dedicate so much time to the homepage to make it look beautiful, but they don't. I feel like the product page gets left out so much. And if you think about it, if you're running paid ads, you're probably sending them to the product page anyway. So you need to start first making sure that your product page tells about your story, your branding, all of your messaging throughout, as well as sells your product to the customer. And really, people need to up their product page game a little bit. Okay,
I don't know if this is on the list because we haven't gone through your list of apps that you're going to help us with CRO, but Zipify does this. So we love Zipify landing pages, and I really think it's worth the time and effort if you are doing a paid campaign. What is it, $30 a month or something? Realistically, that's one sale. You make one sale and you've paid for that product. But, if you're going to send it, realistically, Shopify, you're quite limited in what you can do on a product page. Your theme template is set out in a certain way. But if you want to drive a whole bunch of traffic, then create a proper landing page, one that shows testimonials and has the YouTube videos and has the transformation and all that kind of stuff. And sure, it does take more time. But like we just said, sometimes you've got to put the time and effort in if you want that CRO to go up again. So was that on your list?
No, it wasn't on my list, but that is a good one to add because that is so true. Like, if you're going to spend the money on ads, if you're going to spend the time, like, make sure you're doing it on something that matters. And I would definitely say creating a proper landing page and making sure that you're really just highlighting everything that's great about your product is definitely where I would spend that time and effort.
Yeah, but even if you don't want to go to the effort of putting the landing page in,
the one thing that we do when we run people's ads to a specific product is we say to them, you have to change this description. Even if it's just this one product, you need to be changing the description. Or you can do it on a collections page. That's another way you could do it as well. You can optimize a collections page and then run to that collection because you have a little bit more freedom on that collections page. So with that, seeing as I just added an extra one, let's jump into the apps that you think are absolutely the bomb when it comes to growth strategies on Shopify and getting those customers to come back again and again and spend more.
Yeah, so I've got 4 here. So your additional one is great. It rounds it out to a perfect 5. But the first one on my list is, I think I say it right, Klaviyo. I'm always nervous if I'm saying it wrong.
And I think everybody says it different. We say Klaviyo, but you're American. We're Australian.
Yeah, who knows? But it's great for really building your email list and really fostering those leads because, once they sign up or purchase from you, they may get one email, but it's more about, again, that customer journey so that you're creating a series of emails that they're going to be sent that really warms them up and indoctrinates them a little bit more to your brand so that they not only buy from you, but become an advocate as well and are looking for, the next email in their inbox. They're like, oh, yay, let me click this open. So I think email is one of those things where you really need to focus on that, and getting someone's email address can be just so valuable for continuing the journey with them.
I just did a podcast last week. I'm glad you said that because email is just like the love of my life. I just did a podcast last week and the stats were conversion rates from social is about 1.5%. I'm just trying to remember this off the top of my head. But from email, it's 4.3%. So 4x return.
Yeah.
4x increase in conversion rate. But we could talk about Klaviyo for weeks about the amazing things, and I'm sure I don't even know all of the stuff that does, but one of the key things that I like seeing as we're talking about it is being able to change the pop-up or the fly out that comes out if somebody's already been to your site. So you can create those. If you've got a really high value customer, you can send them to new products, or if you've got someone who just likes sales, you can direct them straight to a coupon or something for the sales section. Or if you've got a new person, they get a completely different pop-up. And realistically, pop-up doesn't take very long to create. But this is, I think, one of the key things that people overlook when it comes to optimizing their site is just utilizing what you've got. Like you have all of these. And I'm sure we could talk, again, we might have to get you back on to talk about, actually, I know that you said on your YouTube channel. So let's just direct people to your YouTube channel so they can get it before we get you back on, to talk about all these hidden functionalities inside of Shopify, the stuff that you didn't know, but that has huge differences and it can make huge changes on the amount of money that you're making and the customer experience. Whew, I can take a breath now. All right. So Klaviyo,
I think it really goes back to making sure that you're collecting this data so that you can use it to target people down the road. I think a lot of online marketing is the whole spray and pray technique, and it's just not working well. So you want to make sure you're getting your customer's email address or potential customer, and then you're trying to connect and build this relationship with them and get this little bit of data so you know how, what they like and how you can best serve them moving forward.
Oh, and that's the other thing we like about Klaviyo is the predictive analytics. So if someone's buying, it will tell you when they're likely to buy again, when they're likely to churn, the offers that you can, the segmenting and offers and all that. Anyway, that's for another story. Today we're talking about Shopify and apps. As I said, clearly I love it. We could talk about it for ages. But okay, first one, Klaviyo or some other email marketing tool to be collecting that data. And then you're also saying you need to follow up as well. You need to be honing those flows or those automations to make sure that you're getting those customers to come back again and again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the second one on my list is Smile, which is a rewards program. So it lets you reward customers for either engaging with you on social media, or after you have purchased from them, you can kind of get points. So it's a cool way of adding a little touch of branding. So for example, I have one client that has a jewelry business, so you can collect gems for them instead of points. Another client has bath bombs, so theirs is tub tokens. So it's a really cool way that you can still sprinkle in some branding, but you're kind of incentivizing people to repeat purchase from you, as well as share your links because maybe they get something for referring people to your site as well. So it really kind of keeps people coming back and encouraging those repeat purchases.
Yeah, and I think what you just said there about being able to use your customers. So I'm sure we're going to talk about user generated content at some point, because I know that that's something that we all love talking about. But even just being able to use your customers in digital word of mouth, like having them post it on their Facebook page, and knowing that that's done automatically, and the customer experience is I get rewarded for that. So of course I'm going to tell, if I love your product, of course I'm going to tell my friends, but hey, I can tell my friends and earn some reward points.
Exactly.
I love it. So with the Smile, I've not used that one before. So you could obviously do some branding and you can do referral. Is there any other things that we should know about? Because you apparently know all these things, like the stuff we don't know, we don't know. So what should we be looking at if we're using Smile that we're like, here's one little tweak?
So with Smile, they do have on their higher plans the ability to connect in with different apps. So you can actually connect in with Klaviyo, as well as you can mention or link into another app that I'm going to mention last for photo reviews, so that you can reward people for leaving. Okay, you get 10 points if you leave a review, but you get 20 if you leave a photo review. So you're even more trying to get that user-generated content.
See, I knew you were going to talk about UGC without even...
Oh, it's the best.
To me, that's the bomb, and that's worth paying for, because we're working with a client right now and they sell baby clothing, essentially. And people, there's especially any type of fashion business, but people want to see what it looks like on. And for me, it's one of the things, I don't know if Anthropologie do it anymore, but they used to do it in their reviews where people could upload a picture. And then they had, excuse me, like a little set of criteria, like how high you are, either what your weight is or what you would consider your build to be, like athletic or curvy. But seeing that information and then knowing my information, it's like, that person's similar to me. That's what it's going to look like on. It's always different to the model, let's be honest. So if there is one thing that I say people pay for, can we jump to that one next? I know you're going to do it last, but there's one thing that people pay for, in my opinion. It is review software, preferably with photos. So let's talk about the one that you've got.
Yeah, so I was saving the best for last, but my favorite is Loox. So Loox. Again, I hope I'm saying that one right, but it lets you do photo reviews and show them on your site, plus have dedicated pages. You could add it to a landing page or product pages to really just make sure that wherever they hit on your site, they see that you have actual customers who are really happy with your products. I think a lot of times people are looking for authenticity and transparency online. So some of the times there's like these fake urgency sells and things like that, which it makes it feel like, is this really true? Are they really selling that many products? So being able to see photo reviews of all these happy customers and how they're using the product, I think is really helpful.
And I think what I like the best about that is, assuming you have this in your terms and conditions, there's your social media done for you.
Yeah.
But you take that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you use it in your email campaigns, you're using it in your ads, you're using it on your social media posting, because over and over again, I hear retailers say, the reason I'm not sending out emails is because I don't know what to stick in them. Well, someone just went and took all your photos, and sure, like you said, they might not be perfect, but actually you don't want them to be.
Yeah.
Because to be realistic, you don't want some Insta babe duck facing. You want a real life person that you can relate to and go, oh, that's what it's going to look like on me, or that's what it looks like in their house, or that's what that cushion looks like. Oh, I thought the color would have been different, but if you can look at 6 or 7 different pictures, you can get a better gauge. Yeah. And then you take whatever they've written and you form all that to make a better buying decision. And for me, reviews is probably the first place I go to. Like straight away, how many reviews are there before I even look at the product, like the description, straight down to the reviews. What are people saying about it?
Well, and all that power, and like you said, using it for your emails and your social media, all that from just one $30 app a month. Like that's, I think, just gold, and something that definitely people need to add into the site, especially the photo review part, so that you can get that content and really share it around and build that social proof.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you've conquered 2 things in one go. One is, like I was saying, if you are struggling with email and social content, well, you've got 3 things there: email, social, and you've got the proof of purchase. So with those 3 things, you've just cut your time in trying to fit, like your brain time of thinking of what you need to be posting, what you need to be putting in the emails, all that just goes out the window because you can just reuse, you can just repurpose it. You can cut and paste it if you want to. But yeah, I love reviews. Probably my second favorite thing after email marketing. Oh, and so because I made you swap them around, what is next on the list?
So the last app on the list is Referral Candy. So it is a referral program. So there's a couple different apps in the App Store that let you do kind of an affiliate or referral program, but being able to kind of like the rewards, but in a little bit different of a way, you're giving them a link to send out to people. And so it's kind of like, they could forward it on through an email or share it on social, but they're almost becoming like a brand ambassador in that sense. So they're not necessarily collecting all these rewards, but they're more just going on to advocate for your brand moving forward. And that can be really powerful, again, having the transparency and the authenticity of someone who is not you talking about your brand, but also just sharing it with people who they know, hey, I know this person and I think they'll like it as well. And so having a referral program is a great way to incentivize people to, again, kind of be that advocate for you.
So if they are the brand advocate, do they get paid in like store credit? How does that work?
So Referral Candy, which I mentioned, is actually like that one, and Refersion you can do where you get a commission. So at the end of the month, it's however many dollars is paid through PayPal, and it's really automated.
Mm-hmm.
You could do it like that. You could do it a store credit, kind of however you would like to set it up. In my experience, I've found the most success whenever it's been a cash reward. This much money will be in your PayPal account. It does tend to excite people a little bit more.
Can we just have a little sidebar discussion here about, you tell me if you have found this, that PayPal dollars for customers are not real dollars. So they don't have to, especially women, they don't have to disclose them to anybody else. So they buy and sell things, and they put their money into their PayPal account so they can buy and sell more things. And
I've never thought about that, but I totally spend money from my PayPal account all the time on random stuff. So
not real
I never
dollars.
thought about that before. Yeah. This lamp was bought with PayPal. Look at that.
There you go. And see what I mean? It's something I discovered when I was when my daughter was, she's 12 now, but when she was little, that there was this concept of, and like people would email when I had my shops, and they'd be like, oh, can I pay for that? Can you send me a PayPal invoice? Because then it doesn't show up anywhere. And so they would be buying things with these not real. I'm like, they just don't treat it like real money. So they would sell stuff off on secondhand buy swap sell sites, put the money into PayPal, and then they go off shopping again, and no one's any the wiser.
That's pretty smart.
Back to our conversation. All right, so let me just go back over. We have Klaviyo or email marketing, Smile, which is our loyalty rewards, Looks, which is probably my favorite. When I write this up, I'm going to move that one to the top. And Referral Candy. I have never gotten into the affiliate side, apart from product-based businesses where they're using brand ambassadors. I've never really jumped into that. Do you find it actually, like, do you find it works well? Like, is it worth the money is question one. And the second one is, are there specific niches that this works best at?
So I think in terms of niches, it's probably anything that I think women are probably the most likely to share these. So I would say some kind of female product does tend to do better. But I think also it really just kind of goes for a different audience. So for example, I've noticed a trend of people that are like micro or nano influencers. So that's like 10,000 followers or below. They may not have the brand deals that some of these other influencers are wanting or have, but they want something like that. So this is a way that they can earn like some affiliate money and take content and kind of look like they're being sponsored and kind of get their toes wet in it a little bit, make a little money on the side, and still, support a product that they believe in. So it does, I think, hit a certain kind of audience as well.
Yeah, because PayPal dollars are not real dollars.
Right?
No, but I'm thinking my first thought when you were saying that would be things like, your athletic wear, beauty, supplements, like the stuff that people love to they get a transformation out of it, like they feel really good or they look really good.
Oh yeah.
That's the sort of stuff that they want everybody to feel the same way that they do. Okay, so I think those. Oh, let's before we finish up, I just want to talk about one of the things that I tend to see is people over app their site.
Yeah.
What happens if you have too many apps?
Yeah, there's definitely a thing as too many apps. Some of the apps, can do really simple tasks, which may be better suited for you to hire a developer to actually just embed on your site and not go the way of an app. But apps, you have to keep in mind, add a little bit of code to your site so it can make your site load slower if you have a ton of apps adding all their different code in. Plus, the cost can get really, more than you expected whenever you're picking your Shopify plan. I actually have a client that I logged into their site one day and was doing an app review for them just to make sure, they were using all the apps. And I was astonished at all the apps that was added in. And it was around $300 a month in additional apps that she wasn't even using. There was more money in apps that she was using, but $300 a month that she was not using. And it was all the apps that, maybe it would be a cool functionality, but something else may work better. And so there was just too much going on. So first off, yes, you can definitely have too many apps. And I really recommend having like a quarterly review for an app and say, okay, is this, once a quarter, go through your app list and say, are we still using this? Can we use it better? Is there another app that would suit us better for our needs? And really just make sure that you're keeping up with everything.
I think, and you said that you talk about this, not necessarily about apps, but in terms of the functionality of Shopify and things that it does that you might not do it over on your YouTube channel. So we'll make sure that we link to that. But I think that's one of the reasons that one of the reasons I love Klaviyo so much is you can have those things like pop-ups and you can have the different flyouts based on which we talked about earlier. But it does so much more that you're probably paying other apps to do. So if you, like you said, I think that's a great idea, putting that like a quarterly review and spending some time going into most of these apps have, or even the Shopify Facebook group, they usually have a Facebook group and saying, this is what I use it for. Is there something else? So maybe a Shopify group would be better. But saying, I use this app for X, Y, Z. Here are some other things that I've got. Do you think any of these cross over? Because at the end of the day, you need to be keeping up to date. And all these apps and programs that we have, they're always constantly being updated. Shopify as well. They're always adding in new features. So are you paying for something that is now redundant? I like that. Maybe that's something that you could create, like an app audit checklist on your
app audit. Yeah. A lot of times with apps, people kind of set it and forget it, and they don't actually go back and look and say, okay, we set up this wish list app on our site. How many people actually created a wish list? How much money have we generated from people creating wish lists? And if the answer isn't, what you were hoping for, then maybe it's time to look at another solution. But constantly kind of having these conversations, again, maybe just like once a month, once a quarter, but to just make sure that, your online presence is really being served by all the apps that you've added in, and it's not taking away from the experience.
And that's just, as I said, I think we could talk for ages, but that's just tweak something in my brain, which is light bulb just went off, that sometimes you have these apps that your customers don't even know exist. So are you promoting the fact you have a wish list? Are you promoting the fact that you have a loyalty program? And we just expect that our customers will notice this, but they don't notice everything. Like, we have to tell them, we have to keep putting it back in front of them over and over again and telling them to use these things. So that's something you could put in your audit checklist.
Yeah, well, and I think it goes back to Klaviyo and your email marketing. Like, you need to tell people along the way, like, hey, you don't want to buy now? Well, no worries. You can add it to the wish list, or, make sure you've signed up for our rewards program so that you are educating people throughout the whole process of all the ways that they can use your site.
Yeah, I love that. You have been a wealth of information today and so much fun. Thank you. Thank you for going down all those little rabbit holes with me. I always love it when we have a guest who's happy to talk about things like PayPal, but dollars are not real dollars. So your YouTube channel, what is it? Where can we find it?
Yeah, so you can go to youtube.com/curiousthemes, and I post videos once or twice a week all about Shopify and different apps and functionality and just overall growth strategies for your Shopify store.
Oh, awesome. So we were talking about apps today, and you've got videos about apps, so we will definitely be linking.
So I actually walk you through how to set them up and things like that.
You are brilliant. And if people are thinking, I think I need this lady, she could give me a hand, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you could find me on curiousthemes.com, and I have some online courses and free guides there as well, and to help you with whatever part you're in your Shopify journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. As I said, you have been a wealth of information. And when it comes to not just the apps, but talking about all the things to look out for, the things that we can use them for, the customer journey, for me, this has been just an information-packed episode. So thank you once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.